This is the new Dune. There is a Dune MMO coming out. And I'm not saying like it's coming out in like a few years. RuneScape 4. Put the gun down. I'm not saying this stuff's coming out in a few years. This is coming out like soon. There's gameplay footage in here. They're talking about releasing this, bro. Like, and those of you that don't know Dune, I don't know how you could not know. Dune 2 just came out, so I assume they're just riding that hype train. But like, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Most games that are based off of like a movie series or a book series kind of suck. There are exceptions, but like Lord of the Rings Online, last time we saw an MMORPG based off of a game, right? Like that. Oh my god, dude, what a disaster, man. SWTOR was like okay, but like kind of still a disaster, right? Like there's like no exceptions. I don't know, man. I feel like some of the Spider-Man games were really good, right? But like MMO wise, there's no exception. If you try to make an MMO based off of like a movie or a book, I have not seen one that's particularly crazy good. SWTOR started off so insanely bad. It was rough, man. It's gotten a lot better over the years since I haven't stopped playing it, but like, oh, dude. So yeah, this is a Dune MMO set in the Dune universe. Monster Hunter wasn't that bad. Monster Hunter was its own game. It wasn't based off of like a movie necessarily. It was inspired by stuff, but like Destiny is not an MMO. It tries to be an MMO. It plays at it, but
hello and welcome to the very first Dune Awakening Direct, a brand new series where we'll be taking a look at all things Dune Awakening from our studio here on Arrakis. On this
Wait, isn't someone else supposed to be in this chair, bro? Where's the dude? Yay!
episode, we'll be chatting to Joel Bylos. He's the Chief Creative Officer for Dune Awakening here at Funcom.
It's just so awkward. Like, they panned out, and then, like, there's all this stuff. There's no one here.
He will tell us what players can look forward to this year, and he will share some news about our beta testing phase. And then we'll also be taking a look at the brand.
Did Asbin react to this? Oh. Well, actually, that doesn't surprise me. Let's be honest. He's like the MMO guy, right?
And new gameplay trailer that we're just so excited to share with you all. But first, we'll look at what it takes to bring the most dangerous planet in the universe to life. From book.
There's a lot of ways to mess this up, and they're gonna mess it up. I'm gonna keep it real, guys. He's gonna say a lot of stuff that's gonna get you hyped. I almost guarantee it. I am very skeptical about a game that is based off of, like, let's be honest, it's hype from the movie, because, like, if it was based off the book, it would have come out years ago.
To film.
I'm hoping that they went based off the book, but, like, I haven't read the books. I've watched the movies, and the movies are really good, but, like, also, I don't know if you could really make it into a plausible MMO, but let's see.
To video game. Let's get started with creating worlds.
Okay.
Arrakis is this unrelenting anvil against which people are beaten and shaped and forged into something that's stronger.
It is, in fact, based off the book. We're good.
There's something very spiritual about
Never mind. We're back in the 50-50 range.
that sand, which on the surface is really
I hate sand. It's rough, it's coarse, it gets everywhere.
nothing, but underneath has a really diverse biological backstory.
One of my favorite lines from Frank Herbert is, when you end a novel, it's like a train coming into the station that doesn't stop.
Hot take, the movie sucked. I think the movie was great. I think the main actor is doing his best.
You just jam on the brakes and let the sparks
I don't know what his
fly.
name is, but, like, I just couldn't. It was difficult for me to engage with him. I engaged more with some of the other characters.
Arrakis is a test, is what the Fremen say. And the player comes right into the heart of that test. Dune Awakening
This is gameplay, right? That looks pretty good. I like it. Yes, sir. I play it.
is a survival game at the base level. And it begins
Oh, it's a survival
like a
game.
traditional survival game, you know? Like
Okay.
you're looking for water, you're looking for shelter. You know, where will you find water in the desert? Will you take it from others. So when we talk about survival, sure, we start with the basic kind of survive. And then when you've survived long enough, it's now time to think about political survival and how you progress within the universe.
I have seen a lot of survival MMOs. I can't think of one that was necessarily super successful. I think PAX Day is going to be amazing, though.
The approach we take when building a world like Arrakis is we kind of have to think about where are the stark lines and how do we draw these epic spaces? How do we make them feel huge? And
I think it's very difficult to make an MMO a survival MMO, especially since a lot of MMO players like their content to be like more long form, right? Like you like long-term progression. And most MMOs, like you like to sit there and grind, whether it be WoW or Black Desert. Yeah, some MMOs are much more grindy than others, but like I think it's difficult to do survival because like how much stuff do you lose when you die? Because that feels really bad. If I lose stuff when I die, that's why I don't play Rust. I don't want to lose stuff when I die. Sea of Thieves, incredible game. I don't like losing stuff when I die, even if it is a pirate. It's just, it is what it is.
And the player feels dwarfed by everything they see.
But like I do think that setting fits for like the Dune universe.
Around them.
The intention was every time we saw the desert, it was highly brutal.
Cinematographer. Cinematographer. Okay.
And if you went out into the desert without the right protection and without the right knowledge, that it was sure death. If we looked at references from some of the hottest deserts in the world, the visuals that we saw from those deserts weren't enough. We needed this world to be even harsher.
So we've been working with Legendary since the very beginning. They've been very generous with sharing with us assets from the film and allowing us to see things from the film and allowing us to really understand the vision that Denis Villeneuve has for the world and his characters and the way he's grounding Arrakis. But of course,
yeah, so like the only reason people play Lord of the Rings online is because they just want to play a game in the Lord of the Rings universe, regardless of how bad it is. Okay, I'm very scared that this is going to kind of hit that. Like, I'd like it to be like an actual MMO that I want to play because the systems are good, because the gameplay is good, because the combat is good, not because like I want to play in the Dune universe. You know what I mean?
of course, a game is a much larger scale, so we need to expand upon that vision. We have
Is based on the movie? Well, somewhat it kind of does have to be, because like the movie brought the books to life. Like plot wise, it should be based on the book. But like if you're talking about like modeling it after like the thopters, the helithopters, the ornithopters. That's the like if you're like ornithopter. What are you gonna know what an ornithopter looks like, right? You're gonna look at the movie, right? So like, there's some stuff that you can absolutely pull from the movie, you know?
have our own army of concept artists who are sending things back and forth with Legendary all the time. One of my best moments on this project so far actually was I got to go and visit the set of the first film with a group of the people from Funcom, the art directors, the lead artists, and we got to walk around in the actual sets that they had built in classic old school set building, massive palaces.
So it's pretty based off the movie then. So it's,
and we got to look at the ornithopters from the inside and the
I did get it is the ornithopter.
outside, right? We got to walk around them and get a sense of their scale.
Well, I think what they had done really well is they'd been quite inspired by the world that we had built in Dune Part 1. Now, on a film, you're sort of led on a journey by the director and by the...
Yeah, I think Dune Part 1 was really good because it helped build the world. It felt like that's why the movie was like really good. Nothing... Well, there were a couple like really cool things that happened in the movie, but for the most part, you're just like, it's kind of like Game of Thrones. Like 90% of Game of Thrones is just the world building, you know?
Script, whereas in a game, you have the opportunity to sort of create your own narrative.
And then you had like these massive cataclysmic like Battle of the Bastard moments where you're just like, oh my God.
And create your own journey. The most...
One thing I will say that as a biologist, as a biology major, I was a biology teacher. I've worked in the field for a really long time. I go backpacking a lot of the time. I understand what biomes look like. What does a world look like in a desert? There's just not going to be anything there. Like there's just nothing lives in the desert except for the sandworm, which I'm sure that they will touch on. But like, I don't know. Like, I don't like as far as like wildlife and things to interact with, I think that they're kind of limited, but like, we'll see.
Most exciting aspect.
Were you a physician?
For me is the fact that you can take what you've enjoyed and loved and you can build your own stories and your own places, and that to me is the ultimate goal, is to have, you know, complete control.
Using Unreal 5 to create a game is obviously one of the better choices. Unreal 5 gives us flexibility through the blueprint.
Everything's made in Unreal 5 and it's totally fine because they keep updating it and it keeps getting better all the time. Someday it'll be... Someday... Well, right now I would say it's around, like... In terms of, like, the graphic quality, I think it can beat BDO if it's a really good game. The problem is BDO had that engine back in, like, 2016. You know what I mean?
System. It allows us to handle amazing graphics through the rendering system, the lighting system, such as Lumen. Lumen technology allows proper light bouncing. If I had to say one thing in the game that really benefits from Lumen, it's player-crafted spaces. In our case, it's like you build a room and you place a window, and the window lets in natural light, and the light will fill the room in a way that feels real. And
okay, that's really cool.
that technology hasn't existed before. Before Unreal 5, in the olden days, you had to use what we call...
So there is player housing. There's player housing.
The LOD system. And that meant that you had to create assets at different LOD levels, so it doesn't slow down everybody's computer. With Unreal 5, we have this new technology called Nanite that breaks things down into the right amount of polygons at the right distance. So for us...
POG, nanotechnology? You say the word nano and everyone immediately thinks you're way smarter than you were like 4 seconds ago.
As a company, this has made an amazing difference.
You think of like the Iron Man suit when it's just like putting itself together, you're like, this is crazy.
The visual detail of the world. It allows us to create one really amazing looking cliff piece, for example. And then doesn't matter how far away or how close we place it, it performs well and it looks great.
Where Unreal worked for us on Dune was that it was a fantastic pre-production and planning tool. On Dune Part 2, we had some very complicated scenes, and we were able to previs all the way from Budapest what the light was going to be doing well in advance. It's the only tool that I've used, I would say, in my 25 years of shooting that is able to be used across a wide spectrum of film.
It kind of bothers me they're spending this much time on the lighting and how beautiful the game looks. I know a lot of games that look incredible. They're just terrible. It bothers me that they haven't really shown me like combat. It bothers me they haven't shown me like systems. It bothers me they haven't shown me stuff. They've mentioned player housing, but like we didn't really get to see you making the player house. You know what I mean?
Films by different types of filmmakers.
Yeah, it looks amazing. That's awesome.
The most iconic creature in the Dune universe
sandworm
is the sandworm of Arrakis. And so we've tried to represent this in the game in multiple ways.
I would hope so.
So as a player, your first steps on the open sand, you hear the hiss of the sand in the distance as the sandworm begins to move towards you. And when it gets close, you hear the roar as it erupts from the sand nearby. And at that point, you have only seconds to live if you cannot make it to rocky ground. So this is your first experience with sandworms.
Really cool.
And these are the little ones. When you go into the deep desert, when you're harvesting spice, the giant ring-mouth sandworms that we've seen in the film will erupt underneath the spice blows and suck harvesters and equipment down into the sand beneath them. There's really only one rule. The sandworm will always come.
Can I fight the sandworm as, say, a raid boss? You know what I mean?
Humans have always had...
Can I ride it?
This innate drive to create something, to build worlds, whether it's in their head, whether it's in text, whether it's on screens, whether it's in games. Funcom as a company has been on this journey for a long time, creating multiplayer worlds where players can live out their dreams and fantasies. We were there in the beginning with massively multiplayer online games. We've been there in the beginning with survival open world crafting games.
What else did they make?
And Dune is a combination of those legacies, bringing us forward into the future. It's the culmination of what Funcom means as a company and what we can deliver. And this legacy means that we need to really pay attention.
Conan Exiles. Oh. It's a good game, but it's an old game, right?
To what we're creating and how we create.
It's a good game, but it's an old game. It doesn't suck. It's solid, but
for the fans, because I think at the heart of this, there's a lot of people out there who really want to live in the universe that Frank Herbert created, and they really want to live.
The graphics are okay and reasonable. I don't understand how this becomes a massive multiplayer online game. People in the desert don't typically interact with each other a whole lot. You know what I mean? Like,
in the visual world of the films that they see from Villeneuve. And so we need to
maybe
create
like the
a
politics
gap
and stuff
between those two possibility spaces and create a game world where people can live out their fantasies that they've taken from Dune. And yes, it's a huge legacy, and it feels at times extremely overwhelming.
Yeah, it could be a spice war, but like then how do you do like the multiplayer battles? I don't know, I'm jumping ahead.
But we really hope that we can deliver something for everybody.
Wow, that was great. Creating captivating visions on the big screen and the immersive world of games, of course, both certainly come with their own unique set of challenges.
They really dressed her properly for this. She like looks like she belongs in the Dune universe. It's crazy, bro. She looks almost homeless. It's great.
And I think it's very clear that both mediums draw deeply from the seminal book that started it all. Now, of course, Villeneuve's movies have mesmerized the audiences with their adaptation of Frank Herbert's masterpiece. It's been showcasing the intricate politics, the very stunning visuals, and the harsh desert of Arrakis. And now, as we venture into...
So that's the amazing hostess for the Overwatch League. Wait, that's her? Oh, she's really kind of like... I thought she had like a bunch of tattoos and stuff. Maybe I'm crazy. She was great. She was probably the best caster on the Overwatch desk. Tell me I'm wrong. She knew more about the game than everybody else did. She was great.
The game, the challenges of bringing this rich universe to life really takes on new forms. So here to share this exciting process with us is Joel Biles, the Chief Creative Officer for Dune
Here he
Awakening.
is.
Joel, welcome to the first ever show.
Thank you very much for having me. It's exciting to be here.
I am so excited that you're here because I get to pick your brain. I have so many questions and I want to dive straight into this. Dune Awakening is a survival MMO. Two words everyone watching will be familiar with.
Yeah, so everybody likes to call their game an MMO. I'm skeptical. Everybody always says MMO and then you end up playing with like 3 other people.
But what's your take on that? What is a survival MMO?
Sure. So survival games are obviously a genre of games about like building yourself up from the bottom and surviving. MMOs are more about social interaction and you know how players work together to achieve big goals. And we thought, why not combine the two? You know, why don't we create a game? Because most of the survival games that are out there, they kind of, you once you get to a certain point of survival, it kind of ends, and that's kind of where you've gotten to. But what we thought was like, the universe of Dune is a perfect place with these politics and this intrigue and there's machinations that happen. So let's get players hooked on the survival and then bring them into the political survival of the Dune universe.
Let's break it down then and dive a little deeper, starting with the survival part. What are we surviving on Arrakis? What's out there? I mean, worms, yeah, players?
Sandstorms.
What else?
Other players. Yeah, so the player, I mean, obviously, Arrakis is all about the heat and the water. So
Okay.
the player, first of all, needs to be
That's gonna get old
searching for
quick.
water. They need to stay out of the sun, stay in black shade during the daytime, travel by night.
Dramatic, I love it.
That's what the Fremen say, right? That's what the
Yep.
the Kitan al-Gaib says
are
it in the
pretzels.
book, right? Black shade by day, travel by night. So the player needs to worry about these things, think about the sunlight, think about where they are, but they also need water because that runs out really quickly without a still suit and you die very fast. So yeah, there's lots of ways in which to get water.
Okay, but eventually you get the still suit and then the dehydration isn't nearly as much of a problem anymore. Okay. Yeah, so the game evolves over time. That's good.
You can explore dew
It's
fields
like really hard at first and then like it becomes less about survival, I feel like, and then more about other stuff.
and eat plant fiber to try and get water out of it.
Well, you don't
After a
get
while,
very
you
much.
start to-
Hopefully they don't have you just like drinking out of cactuses because that's not like actually very nutritious. It's not like you can actually live on that for like a super long period of time. Again, biologist, it's really not going to do anything.
throw up because you can't really get too much water out of plants that
There it is.
way. And then the more,
I'm impressed that he did that research. That's kind of impressive. Okay.
the way I prefer to do it is to shoot enemies, take their blood, drink that.
You just casually dropped that right there. Okay,
Okay, what he casually did right there is he told us that there's PvP.
so we're harvesting blood,
Right.
or just lick
That you
some
can shoot
plants,
people.
whichever way you choose.
In the
We're gonna
face.
stay hydrated, which is very important.
Yes.
Yeah, stay hydrated at home, in and out of game. Are there other resources I need to worry about?
Yeah, so as a player, I mean, it's a proper survival open world crafting game, right? So players will craft their entire arsenal, right? So they'll be collecting resources, They'll be collecting stone, they'll be collecting metals like copper, iron, eventually forging steel, building up the equipment that they have at home. So they'll be crafting all their weapons, all of their gear, all of their clothing, and they can of course craft themselves a base to live in, craft machines to help them craft bigger machines, which allow them to craft better weapons and so forth.
All right.
So there's a lot of crafting. That's really cool. And you craft things like, but you have to involve other players in like a faction system. So you have to be able to craft stuff together. Like I feel like you have to be able to do that.
So there's a lot to do, is what I'm hearing. Base building you just mentioned, that's obviously very exciting. I saw you guys shared a sneak peek of what a base could look like already on your TikTok channel. Very cozy. Why would I?
Could you be walking through the desert and see another player, break their legs, and then feed them to the sandworm? Because up until very recently, we used to do that in BDO all the time. It was considered like normal.
Ever leave a home like that and like head out into the desert, but I'm sure you guys give us plenty of reasons to do just that. Is there anything special about the base building in this game?
Yeah, so we took what we started with in Conan Exiles, our other survival game.
Animals.
We brought that over. Then we started to add to it, right? So we've now created a system for co-op building where you can place out holograms and other players can fill them in. So you work with your friends to build base.
Am I crazy, or did he say I was going to drink another player's blood earlier? That just hit me. When he said I was going to shoot another player, and I kind of glossed over it like I was going to take his water. But then somebody in chat said blood, and I was like, didn't he say that earlier? Yeah, you can't drink someone else's blood. That's not how that was. It's iron, bro. What are you doing?
Bases. You can also save your
bases. That's a thing in the Dune universe. That's crazy.
That you can then sell to other players on the exchange.
That's
or you can
crazy.
Give to your friends, so they, if you make something really cool. One of the things we saw in
nice healthy case of hepatitis. That's what that is.
That I really liked was that players were building the Taj Mahal. They were just building really cool buildings, and it's like, what if you could sell that to another player? That'd be cool, right? So another player might want to be able to just buy that blueprint off you and then place that out in the world and build it themselves. So we're really enabling this sharing and sort of the way the building system works, allowing it to be very cooperative.
Good.
That's incredible. Yeah. I absolutely love that. Well, I know my story arc is going to be architect who harvests blood occasionally, but you do what you got to do. Now that I have my basic needs all met, I'm staying hydrated in some unkosher ways, and I'm having my base. How do I protect myself and my base from the world? Like, what am I doing for combat here?
So the game has a full leveling system, right? And we do this thing we call combined arms, which is like we have melee, we have ranged, we have abilities, and we also have vehicles. Right, so players can use any.
Show me the abilities. Show me the abilities. Show me the vehicles.
Combination of these in combat, right? So it's kind of creates this interesting dynamic. So you can learn abilities from the great schools of the universe and learn how to be a Bene Gesserit, compelling your enemies to come close to you so that you can stab them with a knife, and you can. That's
really cool. I like that. I like that you can go out and you have to learn skills from people. It's not just you level up and you get the skill. That's pretty cool. You have to get the knowledge.
So you're combining melee with abilities there, right? Or you can be a sword master and leap in with a knee charge, knocking people to the ground and then stabbing them. Or you can choose to be like a trooper and you use your Shigawire reel to pull you up like a grappling hook, to pull you to high places where you can shoot down on your enemies with sniper rifles and shotguns. So there's a large variety of weapons that you can craft through our intricate crafting system.
Cool.
In addition to these abilities that you learn as you level up your character. So you kind of have this freedom of choice, and that's really what Combined Arms is all about. It's sandbox combat.
I'm not eating licorice. These are pretzels. These are gold round pretzels.
That's what we're trying to call it and what we're going for, right?
Are those hard locked in classes, or is there can I explore different skill trees?
Yes.
Can I be a swordsman or a swordsmaster, and also
sandbox combat? It kind of has to be a sandbox. It's set in a desert with a bunch of dunes. If it wasn't sandbox, we would be offended.
Use the voice.
The way he's describing it is definitely a sandbox.
You just have to find the right trainer in the world who'll teach you these things. So you choose in character creation. You make a choice.
You're good, Jay.
Who was your mentor when you were young? And then you
I haven't eaten licorice in 15 years.
That determines your set of starting abilities. But then when you play the game, you find trainers in the world. You have to do things for them, but then they'll eventually teach you some of the way, the path that can take you down.
Questing.
some of these skills and abilities. Yeah.
I love
Okay.
that. Okay, so lots of things to explore there as a player and avenues to take,
Okay.
all in order to protect myself and maybe my friends if I feel like it. What am I protecting? Like, how do I protect myself against sandworms? Like, can I fight them? Can I ride them? Like, what's the deal with them?
Sandworms are like a tension mechanic in the game.
She is asking the real questions. I know this is scripted, but that is absolutely a question I want to know.
I want you to be really worried every time you walk on the sand. So you really need to think about what you're doing. So there is no way to kill or defeat sandworms.
No,
the only thing
I
you can
cannot.
do.
Except in a raid. Right? Hmm. Except it's like a big group experience where you have to trap it and like go in, you know what I mean?
You just cannot. The only thing you can do is avoid the sandworms, right? So you craft yourself
They're adding it in the DLC. I need this.
a thumper and place it out to
Paywall behind a $40 expansion. True.
distract a sandworm. Maybe you use it to lure a sandworm onto some friends of yours or some enemies,
Friends,
depending on how
as
you
one
feel.
does.
And the other thing you can do, of course, is craft yourself a vehicle. Like we have a range of vehicles in the game, including the iconic ornithopters, and players will be able to craft these, and you'll be able to use these to, of course, traverse safely. Right? If you're in an ornithopter, you fly above. If you're on a sand bike or something like that, you can move quickly across the sand. Hopefully, a sandworm won't get you if you time it right.
Hopefully.
I mean, if I time it right.
I love
Oh
constant
yeah, that's right. They're really fast, aren't they?
looming threat. Sounds really stressful. Sounds perfect, actually, for a survival MMO. Now, you already alluded to some of the cooperative things one can do in game. Can you elaborate a little bit more here or dive deeper into this? Like,
Sure.
Can I like fully go on a journey with someone and like do tasks with each other? Like, what can I do with other people?
Yeah, so I mean, hook up with your friends, join together with a grouping system. We have a ping system, so you can, obviously point out things to players.
All right.
You will find different roles that you can assume based on the kind of combination of abilities you want to bring with you. And then you can heal your friends, of course, get them up when they get knocked down in combat, things like that. And then, of course,
Are there classes? They said you could get different skills and learn different stuff. Are there classes?
you go on journeys, like we have a system called the journey system. You can go on those journeys together and sort of explore
We call those quests.
the mystique of the universe. Through that, we also have a contract system. When you go to trade posts, you'll be able to take contracts. Your friend and you can go out and explore and do these contracts together. We have small.
It's not BDO. Quests are in every. Classes are in every MMO. I've never seen an MMO that doesn't have like classes. You know what I mean?
Group play, we have guild play. It's all kind of what you'd expect to see.
There
in a
is player-to-player
social
trading. You talked
experience.
about it earlier.
What's your take on the politics? Because obviously the books and the movies, that's a big part of it, like the whole political intrigue. How predominant is that in the game?
I mean, we want players to be able to dip into it. So you start the game kind of lost in the desert,
Okay.
right? And then by the end of the game, maybe you're the next Baron Harkonnen. So as you play through the game,
And who doesn't want to be him?
he's a good-looking man.
Oh yeah. Mm.
Hey.
As you make your way through the game, you
Got a moan out of her. What?
progress and you sort of meet these factions in
Holy
the world,
shit.
right? The Atreides and the Harkonnen are at war. There's a war of assassins going on, as it's called. And as a player, you decide which side you want to help, which side you want to join. Then you
Is this the dude they're talking about? I told you, women love bald men. It is what it is. All right?
start
That
to
you? That was hurtful.
partake in missions for those factions, and eventually, you work your way up through the ranks of the factions, and maybe you take on a position of power as well. So the politics are
Damn, same shirt. He's
they're-
not
they're
wearing a
designed
shirt.
to actually encourage players to develop their own politics around the sandbox systems, right? So we have this Landsrad. The Landsrad will demand that players do certain things. The factions need to work together or against each other to achieve these goals, right? So there's also this sandbox
Okay.
element to the politics.
Which also then encourages like co-op play or
Okay, and we're all going to make a turbo version alliance and just shit on the weakest faction. Sounds good.
PvP play more.
Co-op play or PvP play, yeah. There's this this kind of idea that like when people have the same objective but they're on opposite sides, it becomes a race between them to achieve that objective, and they'll do all sorts of dirty things to get to the top right.
Sounds about right. Can I opt out of politics? Can I just live my peaceful little Swiss life in my cottage?
Absolutely. You can play however you want. I mean, the idea.
Thank God. Let's not make the same mistake BDO did where you're forcing players into PvP all the time when they don't want to. Thank Christ, dude. Like, bro, you lose so many players because, like, they just want to sit there and, like, enjoy the universe of Dune, and some dude is just standing on top of them teabagging repeatedly, man. Like, nobody wants that.
The idea is to be a sandbox and allow people
Well, some people do, and they can have that. But the idea of a sandbox should be that, like, you can choose to play however you want to.
Approach it how they like. We have one of the rules, one of the pillars of the game is expression and customization. And that's not just about visuals, it's customizing how you want to play the game. So it's really thinking about, like, well, I really like to craft and just set up my little crafting setup and sell things on the exchange to other players.
Good.
So you can do
I
that.
like
you
to
can
do that.
basically live your life as a crafter. You can also be an architect, as we talked about. You know, you can be a pilot.
I wish you could do that in BDO. You can't do that in BDO anymore.
A scout. You're not really heavily involved in the fighting, but you go out and you craft maps that you sell to other players as well of the world.
Where are we currently at? Like, I know there have been betas already. How many more of those are coming? When is the next one? What's the status of development? Where are we at?
So, yeah, we've been running betas now for several months. They've been going really well.
Wow.
We're slowly inviting more people over time.
Bro, under our noses. I didn't even know this game was in development. This is crazy.
So the game, yeah, I mean, we're not going to rush it out the...
And Sandbox suggests your piece can be taken from you. If you want that. But it also suggests that if you want to be like a quaint little farmer, you can do that too.
door. We're going to work with our community and our players, and we're going to try and make the game as good as it possibly can be.
Takes as long as it takes, man.
It takes as long as it takes, and you got to do it well. So yeah, so we're working with our community.
Put the
and,
PvPers together.
Betas are
You know what I
continuing,
mean?
right, all the way through launch, and we're going to keep increasing the number of people in those betas, helping us stress test.
Like, if you want to do that, just put them on their own server. You know what I mean? But like, then you have like your own PvE servers where like nobody has to really worry about that.
Yelling at us because they get eaten by sandworms, all those kind of good things.
All the good stuff. Speaking of good stuff, have there been any like recent milestones you're particularly excited about?
I don't know about you guys. I hope the sandworms are crazy dangerous. I hope it's not like, oh no, all right, I gotta leave the desert, we're chilling. I hope I hope there's an element of like RNG to it where like it'll get here in the next like 1 to 5 minutes. You know what I mean? And you're like, okay, do I have enough time? Do I have like this extra minute to get this spice? You know what I mean? And then here comes the sandworm. You know, like that's what I want. I hope there's an element of RNG to when the sandworm shows up, so that it's not like so predictable that you just don't care anymore. It's like you just kind of run away.
Or anything you want to share about the current development?
Sure. There's a thing as a creative director I like to say that we get a few aces. Every time we make a project, we get to make a few creative bets. There's a thing called the shifting sands, which is one of my most exciting, one of the things that makes me most excited about the game, and that is this location in the world. It's a full PvP area, and every week the Coriolis storm sweeps in and completely alters the landscape of this area.
So the way he said PvP area tells me that certain zones are like basically PvP enabled, and then other zones aren't. That's how they've chosen to approach it.
And I got to see that working for the first time very recently with full landscape changing and people able to play, and it's exciting to see these things coming online, and I think it's something people haven't seen before in a game, so I'm excited.
I think you should put the rarest materials and like the toughest stuff and the stuff that's going to get the most money in the PvP areas. Incentivize it.
To let the audience in on it, you know?
I can't wait to be part of that audience, and I also can't wait to have more opportunities in the future to chat about the development and the process that you and the team are going through. Now, any last words, anything you want to say to your future player base?
Yes, thank you everybody for joining us on this journey. I hope today's show was like your first taste of spice.
It is.
Mildly euphoric, slightly addictive, and leaving you wanting more.
Isn't that from the book? All right, it's from the movie. I heard it in the movie. It's probably from the book.
I certainly want more of that now. I'm pretty sure everyone watching as well. So
I like that he did that. That was good. It was scripted as all hell, but I like that. I'm 100% going to play this.
remember, for a chance to get an invitation to
Are we actually going to get to see stuff?
of the future closed beta tests, head on over to duneawakening.com and sign up for the beta. Then head on over to Steam and wishlist the game. You can also join our Discord.
You guys want to see me play the beta? I think I kind of want to do that. I think I might do it.
Discord and follow our other socials at Dune Awakening. Also, of course,
Ooh, okay, so here's the crafting. Like low-key, here's the crafting. You see him put it together?
the socials at Dune Awakening. Also, of course,
It's like Fortnite.
you can keep up to date on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, where we will be showcasing regular sneak peeks
Climbing,
into
Pog?
the world of Dune Awakening. Now, here is the moment that I'm pretty sure everyone has been waiting for. Let's take a look
Gameplay?
at our brand new gameplay trailer
Perfect.
for Dune Awakening.
All right.
Arrakis is a test. Few survive it.
Okay, gameplay. When you said gameplay trailer, I think we misunderstood. Okay, there we go. The climbing looks like shit. I'm just gonna say it. Climbing looks like ass. Look at that. But I don't know. You only get to see it for a second. Doesn't look realistic at all. Look how little shit there is. It's a desert. What do we have to... What is there to do in a desert? There's nothing alive here. I'm not, like, pointing at something off in the distance. Like, what's that? That's the kind of magic that I like to feel in an MMO. I want to feel that kind of magic. I don't know. It's nervous. It's a tough setting to kind of get right. Monka. Okay. The crafting looks really cool. If this is what your house can look like and you can like customize it and stuff, that's really cool. That's a W. And then the mounts look cool too. It's not No Man's Sky. It's not. No, it's. Corporate wants you to tell us the difference between these two pictures. It's not. It looks the same, guys. It looks, but it's not the same. It's not. That's not the same. It's a different shape. Yeah, the climbing's kind of ass. I wish there was like actual handholds and stuff, like a little mini game that you did, but. So you're infiltrating other people's stuff, okay. Okay. Oh, he's dead. Oh, you're killing him. Oh, it's over.
Arrakis is a test. Few survive it. But the humans that do.
Ain't no way. You're shivving him, you're teabagging his corpse, and you are chat PvPing him into the ground while he reloads. Okay?
Awaken.
Wow, Arrakis is truly the most dangerous planet in the universe. And you know what? I can't wait to go there. Now, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned and join us on the next Dune Awakening Direct.
That's cool. I think it looks great, guys. I think that it has a lot of ways it can definitely mess it up, though. I'm very, very skeptical. Most MMOs that are built off of like movies or books are just crap. So like very skeptical. The crafting looks really good at least though. I still don't see mob grinding. Yeah, I mean, like, that is definitely... we didn't get to see a whole lot of stuff, bro. We didn't get to see a whole lot of stuff. But it does look good, also. It does look good. I will play it, for sure.